Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator completely. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Fellow Americans, it is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. There are a lot of people out there talking now about climate change. And look, let's be frank here, folks. There is no such thing as man-made global climate change. Plain and simple. Doesn't exist. And I know a lot of people are out there trying to get their digs in and say, this is, look, even Bloomberg has today endorsed Obama for president. Why? Because of his economic policy? No. Because he did such a great job on the economy and putting Americans back to work? No. Because Obama has such a fantastic foreign policy? No. Well, why would Bloomberg support Obama for president? Well, because 2 days after Sandy hits his city, he's decided that Obama would be better for global climate change than Romney. That is the man's reasoning. He said it. I didn't. I don't. It's absolutely amazing to me how anybody with a brain, could even possibly think and fathom for, more than 10 seconds that we're responsible. Look, you tell these wonderful people, you do know, these wonderful people that believe in man-made global climate change. I'm being reminded. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, my well-paid volunteer engineer is here for a little while with me tonight. No, there's nothing for you to do. We still haven't figured out all of this totally yet here on Spreaker. I just haven't had time, but we will figure it all out. But I'm being reminded that there's the thing called HAARP, HAARP. And a lot of people think that it's the government's HAARP project up in Alaska that caused Sandy. Look, and there's people that think, because people watch too many, when they watch Hollywood movies like, The Day After Tomorrow and The Core, the movie The Core, the Bruce Willis movie and the Meteorite movie and what was the one with Morgan Freeman as president and Elijah Wood was the kid that had discovered the large rock in space heading towards Earth is going to wipe out mankind. Look, people, they confuse reality with make-believe. Now, movies are make-believe. Okay? Even when they're based on a true story. Drama, life does not have drama that way. And life doesn't happen, in 90 to 180 minutes. It's fiction. That's all it is. It's fiction. But there are people that believe this stuff, and that's because they watch too many movies. It's amazing, actually. I'm sometimes ashamed to call, to be considered human with them because Homo sapien, thinking man, Homo sapien. These people aren't thinking at all. So when you try to get them to put down roots and actually explain their position, they don't have any real evidence. They don't have any logic. They just have all these different sound bites and stuff that they pulled from, the web. And before the web, it was stuff that they pulled from movies. And none of it is, very little, 0.1% of it is factual. Well, Rod, if there's something that's factual in it, maybe there's something to the whole thing. No, there isn't. Yes, there are programs called HARP and DORPA and DARPA and Mongoose and all these other projects, past and present. We know that they either did exist or continue to exist. Big freaking hairy deal. We're not zapping people from outer space. The U.S. government is not behind UFO abduction. The U.S. military, they're not behind UFO abductions. I mean, this stuff is getting crazy. And part of it is really due to the overly secretive nature of our governments. And I said plural, governments, because I'm not just talking about the United States. This is true worldwide. The overly secretive nature of our governments leaves the people that these governments are supposed to protect and support in the dark to come up with scenarios of their own. And some of those scenarios are just wild. I mean, look, we've got some in the mainstream media who are trying to establish, on the right, who are trying to say that the reason that Obama let the Benghazi attack go through is because it was a cover-up for something else. I guess Ambassador Chris Anderson was Anderson is his name. Was running guns to Syria, and they found out about it, or they needed to cover it up. We got conspiracy everywhere. And really the problem is that when you have all these fake ones, remember the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts? Remember Mel Gibson's character? He saw a conspiracy everywhere. Everything was a conspiracy theory to him. Until he finally hit on a conspiracy that was actually real. But nobody believed him. It's like the boy that cried wolf. If you constantly are spitting out these false, fake, ridiculous conspiracies, when you actually come up on a real one, nobody's going to believe you. This is the same thing with global war. Everybody's now concerned about climate change. And one of the big thing is, you see this, again, with movies. I'll go back to movies. This is a blockbuster. This movie made more money than any other movie in history. Well, a big reason it did that is because the tickets cost more. Now, you have to ask yourself, did it sell more tickets? But even if it did sell more tickets, the population is bigger today than it was back then. So we hear all this stuff about, this is the costliest storm ever, Sandy. Well, yeah, because things are worth more, or they actually cost more. Back in 1960, the house on Jersey Shore may have been worth only $50,000. Today it's $400,000. Well, it's the same house. You see what I'm saying? It's the same. Whether the house was destroyed in 1960 and it was valued at $50,000, or it was destroyed, 2 days ago, valued at $400,000, it's the same house. You understand what I'm saying? So the reality is, it's really not more expensive, except for the fact that now, Jersey Shore and other places are more populated. So there are more buildings. So there was more that was destroyed. Yes. It isn't because the storms are more powerful today than they've ever been. There's just more stuff to tear down. Do people understand this? There's more stuff to damage today than there was 40 years ago. Now, I'm not trying to diminish the absolute mammoth size of Sandy and the power that the storm had. I'm trying to put it in perspective. So before you go and jump off, and hit the panic button, oh my God, it's global warming, we're all in trouble. Understand, put it in perspective. You got to put everything in perspective. There's more stuff to destroy today than there was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. That's plain and simple. So it is misleading when they just shove a dollar amount on there. It doesn't give you the real reflection of the damage. I'm surprised I have to explain this kind of stuff. I really, but we've got the reports out there that Monday's mammoth superstorm that caused severe flooding, damage, and fatalities to the eastern U.S. will raise pressure on Congress and the next president to address the impacts of climate change as the price tag for extreme weather disasters escalates. Yeah, look, we could have had a regular hurricane and it could have did this kind of damage. Do you understand that? It has nothing to do with climate change. It has everything to do with there being more people, has everything to do with there being more improvements. Improvements, it could be anywhere from a house to an office building to an amusement park to regular parks, anything that other than just raw land. If humans had a hand in it, it's an improvement. That's what we call an improvement. So there are more improvements along with more people. That's what you have to take in consideration. Not that these storms are just becoming monster powerful, because really, comparatively speaking, there have been storms in the past. We know that there were storms that were pretty damn powerful that would have been off the record charts 100, 200, 300 years ago. I mean, we can read some of the stories from back then about storms lasting for days. Sandy didn't stay in one spot for days. It's pretty much a day and a half, and she blew through. So this whole notion that the Earth is being more angry today than it has ever been is false. It's wrong. It's misleading. It's just a plain lie. And the problem is that so-called climate scientists and climatologists, they know it's a lie. And it shouldn't put any pressure on Congress to do anything. As far as I'm concerned, Congress should just say, well, this is a Reuters story, by the way, but as far as I'm concerned, Congress should just say, well, maybe we should look at, because people are going to populate certain areas of our country that are vulnerable and subject to extreme weather patterns